Hello and welcome to episode 4 of my tall Milan play here in Italy, in MEIOU and Taxes. And we are continuing here. Last time, at the end of the episode, we took out stuff here in the March region area. And now in this episode, we are probably going to see the integration of both of these here. And depending on what we can conquer, either here in the east, west or in the east here. And yeah, but now we have to rate again our favorite activity here because we have too much aggressive expansion. What I want to point out though are two major things. One positive thing is, if you look at our income, we are heavily driven by obligations which are paid by the burghers and the nobles, which is of course a wealth tax. That's pretty much fueling our economy currently, combined with the property. Let's change the song again. And yeah, taxation of peasants and residents is basically non-existent here, but they are paying, of course, feudal dues to the estates like burghers and nobles. Especially the privileges here will demand quite some stuff here. For example, the patent enforcement transfers profits from the urban industries to the burghers. And that's a good thing, so we are pretty solid on our income. If you look at it, we are plus 32. So that's really good for building whatever we want here. The problem that we face is a mana point problem. We are getting closer to the next idea group at 22. And we don't really have any points saved up here for the military idea that we want to take. So we 21 here, we are 40 years ahead, but we basically don't have 4 years ahead, I mean, but we don't have any points saved up. So that's going to produce problems. Or not problems, but it's a delay. Let's call it like this. And I do think that I want to switch into the military focus as soon as we can in 4 years. However, we really have to calm down now with our interactions regards nobility and nobles, because we are wasting too much mana on interactions and boosting loyalties and such, so we have to slow down here. I already said it in the last episode that I maybe want to get rid of this one still, but I don't think I want to right now because we have to save up points. Same here, I still would like to at least reduce this one further to decrease the citizen militia costs and also get rid of the rural ownership here. This one has the highest priority. I think we still do this one, but that's it. And then we really have to just keep around 75% loyalty and do other things. The other things are, of course, the reforms we want to do, but also we want to do the taxation reform here, for which we need bureaucratic influence. And this costs admin. And so this is a back and forth currently where we now want to invest stuff. I think we could also do the indirect taxation reform pretty soonish afterwards, right? Yeah, 25 state reach as well. So we are going to do, in the near future, 2 taxation reforms here. And so we are leaning back with everything else and not do much. Also, the big other problem we face is we have these 2 integrations ahead of us. And this one costs 325, and this one costs 336. So that's 1.5 technologies of Diplo points that we have to spend here. And this is also something I'm not sure that we can really afford currently. So that's why we have to see how we can continue here for the moment. But I think we just have to relax a bit. We are already super powerful here in Northern Italy. But yeah, I would like to be faster, but we don't have the points for this. We could be faster, but we just do not have the mana to do these kind of things. That's why, relax a bit and build tall. Instead, invest our money that we make and just wait for a few years. Just play it out. And with that, I'm going to just continue, as there's nothing else or not much to do right now. Of course, there's a coalition forming from our conquest here, and we have to just wait it out again. Prepare some claims for the future, and see what we can do with our cash. Well, something funny has happened. So we lost our heir to an illness, and now we have a new one, and Austria appointed him. They appointed one before, and I disinherited him. That's why I'm negative on prestige again. But now they sent a new one, and I get the event. At least it's not a Habsburg. Yeah, it's right, because they are no longer Habsburg dynasty. They are Gabelkofen now. But it's a 554. I'm not going to reject that. So, okay, we take him, I guess. Problem is he's already 14, so that's a problem. But yeah, maybe he dies again. I don't know how it will end up in the end. We definitely need someone. And we also need a diplomat, but I don't have one. But what I want to do now is we have to make a choice. Either we get a patron, and with that a holy site, or we send a papal legate, then we get improved relations and diplomatic reputation, which is nice because aggressive expansion is our problem. But I think we go for the beautiful local saint, because then we can get a new one eventually. And from this we can get, of course it's Valtolina. Of all the provinces we own, it's Valtolina, which is the most useless province we own. It's just, the good thing is only Forest Mountains here, but the thing is that the pilgrimage center gives minus 5% taxation cost. If that would have hit one of the big cities, that would have been tremendous. Because minus 5% on, for example, Lombardy here, or Piedmont, or whatever of the big cities here, that would have saved us a lot of mana points and netted us a lot more income in the end. But yeah, we can't have everything. Meanwhile, we are still waiting for the coalition to disappear. Everybody is against us currently, so we are just waiting. But meanwhile, I have queued up an irrigation here to get our food output higher. So irrigation 3. And also there are more amenities getting built by the AI here, or the province itself, because we do have quite a lot of wealth in the infrastructure fund here. So that's going up nicely. Meanwhile, I think we have other amenities to fix eventually again. So, oh yeah, this one for example. So this one has to get a level 2 now, and so on, but we are going to continue building stuff. However, there is one consequence of what we are doing currently. And as we saw last time on, earlier in this episode, or was it at the end of the last episode? I'm not sure, when we checked our population numbers. We are really exceeding our peasant population base now. You can even see that here. So even though this province still has unused farmland here, like 58 throughput, the peasants are not staying. They are all migrating into the city. If I wouldn't invest into farmland, then they would all move into the city. So we are currently draining our countryside, which is a problem. Not sure how we can handle this, because this is really a problem. But yeah, I don't know. It will somehow work out eventually, hopefully. At least they are free. 75.8%, could be higher, but it's slowly going up. We could eventually once invest into the Protect Peasantry. So plus 1.5 minus noble power. So that's basically 0.9 per year. So 9% we would get from this one. I think that's something we want to do pretty soonish. But as said, we are still saving up any kind of mana points that we can save. And speaking of that, we are going to unlock the next idea group here. And that's going to be actually quantity here. Why quantity? Well, because it has metalworking and mining, which is useful for our industries here. The recruitment cost will be nice when we go up to more bureaucratic-based recruitments, which we eventually will. Garrison cost infrastructure is just really nice in this region where we are currently. And then we have investment in levies, which is also all kinds sort of investments, like it's also bureaucratic investments. A manpower training cost modifier again, minus 10%, and of course then recovery speed and reinforced speed. I really like this idea group. The only thing is that we won't get the benefit from the unlocking here. For example, if we would go to logistics, we could get this one, the autonomy reduction, which would be nice. But we only get a little bit of pathing and harborage infrastructure costs, and I think a bit of manpower training cost. Yeah, a bit of weaving skill, that's decent, that's not important here. Could also go standing army though. Movement speed, education skill, weaving skills, ability, siege ability, volunteer, and this mana cost looks nice because that's what we are running. It's a really tough question. But I think I want to go into quantity here. Really hammer down on the garrisons and everything like this. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We really need more army. So we definitely want this one. Recruitment cost reduction. That's going to be nice. And will be felt by our estates and us here. Because of course also the nobility has to pay less. Now, we are preparing, I think it just came off cooldown. Yes, it just came off cooldown. We can promote the bureaucratic faction. I'm not sure if that actually pull us over 30. Oh, it will. Nice. So, we could do this reform if we would have the admin, which we are going to immediately do now. So we are going to do the state tax farming reform. We should remember that we currently have 50 income, total income. And I'm not sure how much it will change from this one here, but we go up to from 5 plus 5% times state reach, so which is currently, I don't know, 2% or something? No, less. 1.5? No. 1.25. Yeah, 1.25. So we had 6.25 total base tax efficiency here. And 30% tax revenue is transferred to the elites based on power share. And of course their power share is massive. 94% and 65% and 48%. And this will get reduced by 20%, this tax revenue to elites. But also we get the sword excise and the timber excise. Not sure how well they are. But most importantly, we do get a lot more efficiency on the base tax, where we double it. And it reduces the cost for all taxes, which is also the noble dues. So that's really, really nice. And also the efficiency should also be for the noble dues as well. Which means that we probably see quite an impact from this. But I'm not 100% sure. What we also could do now is the reforms here. The next one I would like to target is the appoint magistrates here, because of the autonomy reduction. We could also go for the institute clear hierarchy here. I think we want both. I'm not sure if we can pull that off in time with the influence that we gave to the bureaucrats here. But if we can, we are going to do these two. Just in preparation for the formalized administration here, which will require 50 average autonomy, and we are currently at 63%, so close, but not there yet. So, let's continue here and wait out the alliance, but also wait out everything else. Well, we have progressed a bit into 1418, and we are getting closer to our goal. We are down to 54% average autonomy now, and we can actually do the next reform. I already did one. I think it was the institute a hierarchy here. I think no, not this one. Here, bureaucratic hierarchy, exactly. From 0 to 1, which decreased global autonomy by 0.05. We are now going to take... Yeah, we want this one. It costs us 20 loyalty with all estates there, so that's expensive. But I think that's fine. This one would also be nice to be doing soonish. I think we're going to stay here on this level of state reach for a long time. At least like 30 years probably. Because we can do a lot of reforms here, which are quite nice. As, for example, this one. And then afterwards, when we reach the 50 autonomy level, we are going to do the formalized administration one. Until then, we are going to wait, however. So, the loyalty here is 68%. Do we want to... We can yield concessions here. That's easy. We can also do... Nah, nothing we can do here right now. But I guess that the promote commerce will come off cooldown eventually again. We do a show of devotion here just to recover 10% loyalty again. Problem is now we're at 82% provincial corruption, which is high, but it's decaying relatively quickly. Our state corruption is also high now, which is another problem. Nothing we can fix quickly though, because we lack the mana points as usual here. And yeah, now this can tick down and will be quite useful. Another important news is that we do have a pretty decent chance of getting the emperorship when the next emperor dies. So he is currently 60, so the chances that we become emperor are pretty high now. And we do also have quite a lot of cash, but for example, we cannot put it into the capital because that's constructing non-stop currently, amenities and irrigation, which we queued up. We don't really have an amenities problem anywhere. So you can see here the worst one is res, which barely went. No, it's not really even there. So not sure how that calculates, but that's not completely correct. So we don't necessarily need to do anything here. What we could investigate here now is where we could, for example, construct garrisons or irrigations. And yeah, this one is really close to the upkeeps already, but we could invest into irrigation here. So let's do... I know that there was something I did earlier just to showcase why I picked Pavia. Because if we go to the food trade, food map mode and check production, then we see that Pavia is one of the best. Next to Lombardy here and the other ones here. So we are going to make irrigations here. It's currently producing 49. Lombardy is producing 36 only. But yeah, Pavia, let's see, you already are at 2. So how about we push you to 3? 1,000. Yes, that's fine. For another 6% food or something. Yeah, 6% more food. I think that's worth it. I mean, in total, that's... Now, if we look at it... let's say 50 food. It's like +3 or something. Ooh. Doing this one would increase their power. But burghers are already at 94%. I think it doesn't matter. Oh, but it gives us autonomy. We don't want that. So we have to deny this one, which is annoying a bit. But state commerce just came offline. So we can do the promote and support commerce here, which just gets us 10 happiness again. The other one where we could build irrigations here is in Piedmont, which would be also worth it. Let's see how much it produces. 34 only. But yeah, it's still one of our big producers here. But I'm going to check around what we can invest into. Our income went a bit down due to all the provincial corruption. But now let's continue until we get the reform, which is going to be probably the last thing for this episode. Well, and here we are, only 1 year later, as we just said, and we got elected emperor. So Bohemia just died, the king of Bohemia, and now we are in control here. Of course, I'm not sure what I want to do with the title, but fine. I think I'm going to take this quest here. We can make this. We can finish this mission eventually when we have 1 stability. So let's get this one. Reforming the empire, of course, is far away, and here we would get another diplomat. So probably can't hurt as well to have them. And now, yeah, And we are going to improve for everyone here, just to get all of them on our side. The big thing that's going to happen from this one is that we are going to get shifted to hegemonic here in the... Yeah, we just immediately went to hegemonic in the international importance. The thing here is this gets us a lot of state property capacity. So we currently were at 300 development. So we were, what is that? Major? Average or major? And now we go to hegemonic. So that's a big deal. So we're going to see that in the next year. And that's of course going to be nice. Also, we get relations from this, free relations, which we can consider where to invest. We can also use non-existent imperial authority when we have some again to get us relationship boosts, but that's another topic. So yeah, let's see what we can do with the title. Okay, here we are to wrap up this episode, and we are now in a position where we can finally do the formalized administration reform. So let's do it. Costs us 15 loyalty, that's fine. And now the big question is, what else do we want to do? We do have a little bit of mana left here, 400 admin, 300 dip. So we could go through here and check what might make sense. And of course, ideally we hunt for something which is useful for whatever we are going to do. Like for example, the integrations here in the south would profit from the administration efficiency. The appointment of officials would help us getting better bureaucratic influence in the future, but I think that's fine for the moment. It's also very costly because it costs 200 dip. So this one, I think, yeah, 150. Then we can do another 150. Or we do... I mean, I definitely want to do this one. So now, what is left? Nothing down here, so it's only these ones up here. We could do 150. We can't these two. No, not right away though. What do we want? I think the tax farm is definitely worth it. So I would say we do the tax farm here. And then we wait a few months and then we do the other one as well. And then we call it enough reforms. Because our corruption is through the roof now. And our loyalties are of course terrible now. Let's see. So next one we do have enough. Here we go. That should be fine now. So now we can do the rotation, which reduces provincial corruption but also state corruption. I mean, the corruption effect isn't that great as the one from the sales of offices, but sales of offices also increases admin costs, which isn't ideal. No, wait a second. We wait for this one. So another 2 months. And then we can get elite power from Autonomy, which is really nice. Because we do have high autonomies here. So 2 more months. And then we do that reform as well. And afterwards we are going to lay low for a long time. Because then we have to focus on a lot of different things. Which we can talk about in a second. Now we can do it. So we are going to do this one here. Reduce the power. Costs us a bit of stability. Fine. And now we are going to spend time recovering our loyalties here with our estates. So we can do the royal marriage here. And of course we have to take down our provincial corruption as well as our state corruption here. We could of course consider doing a corruption measure here. Doesn't really help much now. This one maybe. So the provincial corruption goes down faster. Might be worth it. But costed admin efficiency minus 20% for 5 years. I think this is something when we are down to 70% or something to then speed up the remainder of that. Right now, that wouldn't make much sense. The corruption one also doesn't make sense. So burghers will be low loyalty for a while. Our income will pretty much collapse for a big time. We are going to lose a lot of this, which is fine. But we have done some critical reforms here now. The critic faction is in control. And now we are going to focus back on technology here again, and also on these 2 integrations here. Papal States did us a favor by going after Perugia here, so that's useful. And I'm considering we maybe want to vassalize the Camarino here now, purely due to the fact that we cannot really attack it with Hungary and Naples as allies. But yeah, right now we can just wait again. Our aggressive expansion, however, has significantly decayed, but it's still there. In between I was taking over Grishun here. And I think the next war we want to do is actually take out Ferrara. So now that we have the autonomy goal achieved, we don't need to do that anymore for the moment here right now. Which means that we can consider expanding again, integrating this, maybe even taking or snatching Rome here, but that will net us an excommunication, which is unfortunate. I'm not sure if we can hold the emperorship though, but I will try at least. And yeah, at least we got the vassalization on Padua finally finished, so it's no longer an alliance partner. Which means we could use this here to expand and feed into a vassal, or just raid direct annexations here. I do lean towards direct annexations though, but let's see, because we do have a massive dip cost of these annexations here. But that's all something for the next episode. I'm going to cut it here, so we are going to suffer through all the consequences of our reforms in the next episode. Leave a like and subscribe, and see you next time.